Elara lived in a small white house at the end of a long, dusty road. The house had blue shutters and a red roof. In the front yard, an old oak tree spread its branches wide, and under it stood a wooden bench facing the road. Every morning, Elara opened the shutters and looked out. The road stretched over a small hill and disappeared. It led to the town, and from the town to the highway, and from the highway to the big city far away. Elara was a small woman with silver hair tied in a bun. Her hands were thin and gentle. Her eyes were warm like tea. When she smiled, little lines appeared around them. But she did not smile as often anymore. She lived alone, but her heart was full of someone very precious. Her son, Leo. When Leo was a boy, the house was loud with his laughter. He climbed the oak tree, scraped his knees, and brought wildflowers home. "For you, Mama," he would say. Elara would kiss his head and feel that her heart could burst with love. But when Leo was 8, his father Samuel fell sick and died. Elara held Leo close that night. "We have each other," she whispered. We will be okay." She worked hard, sewing clothes and selling vegetables. She made sure Leo had food, books, and shoes. Leo grew tall and quiet. Sometimes he sat under the oak tree, staring at the road, as if waiting for his father to come back. Years passed. Leo became a young man. His voice grew deep, and his eyes began to look at the road with a restless hunger. He talked about the city, tall buildings, and a different life. Elara understood. The small house was too small for his dreams. One evening, when Leo was 19, he stood in the kitchen with a bag on his shoulder. "Mama, I have to go," he said softly. Elara was washing dishes. Her hands stopped, but she did not turn around. She was afraid she would cry and beg him to stay. "I understand," she said. "Do what your heart tells you." They hugged for a long time. Then Leo walked out the door and down the road. At the top of the hill, he turned and waved. Elara raised her hand. Then, he was gone. At first, Leo called every Sunday. Elara would sit by the phone, her heart jumping at every ring. His voice was far away, but warm. He talked about the city. She asked if he was eating enough. "Yes, Mama. Don't worry," he said. But she worried. A mother never stops worrying. After some months, the calls came less often. Then came letters, long and full of dreams at first, then shorter and shorter, then just a Christmas card with his name, then nothing. The phone stayed silent. The mailbox held only bills. Still, every morning, Elara made 2 cups of tea, one for her, one that sat untouched on the other side of the table. She did not know why she kept doing it. It was a habit, a hope, a small act of love. She took care of her garden. She grew tomatoes and beans. She talked to them kindly. A stray gray cat appeared one rainy night. She named him Shadow and let him stay. He slept on Leo's empty chair. Seasons changed. Spring brought blossoms. Winter covered everything in white. Elara watched the road from her window. Her hair became fully white. Her body grew smaller, but her eyes, whenever they looked at the hill, held a steady, patient light. She never blamed Leo. She knew the world was hard. She imagined him fighting battles she could not see. But late at night, she sometimes whispered into the darkness, "Leo, my boy, are you safe? Are you thinking of me, even a little?" No answer ever came. Years passed. Elara turned 60, then 65. She was known as the quiet, kind woman at the end of the road. Sometimes she held a neighbor's baby and hummed an old lullaby, her eyes hiding a deep sadness. One cold December evening, Elara heard footsteps outside. Slow, tired footsteps on the frozen ground. She opened the door and saw a young man. He was tall and thin, shivering in a jacket too light for winter. His eyes were dark and full of sadness. He looked lost. "Come inside," Elara said, taking his arm. She sat him by the fire, wrapped a blanket around him, and brought hot soup, bread, and tea. The young man ate, like someone who had not seen food in days. When he finished, he looked at her with wet eyes. "Thank you. My name is Michael. I had not eaten in 2 days." "Why were you alone in the cold?" Elara asked gently. Michael looked down. "I had a fight with my father a year ago. I said terrible things. I left home. I lost my job. I lost everything. Now I have nowhere to go, and I am too ashamed to go back." Elara felt her heart ache. The story was so familiar. "You can stay here tonight," she said. "In the morning, we will talk." Michael stayed. One night became a week. He helped chop wood, clear snow, and fix broken things around the house. He was quiet and gentle. In the evenings, they sat by the fire. Elara knitted. Michael read old books. One night, Michael asked, "Why are you so kind to me? You barely know me." Elara set down her knitting. She looked into the fire. "Somewhere out there," she said slowly, "my son is a stranger to someone. He left many years ago. I do not know where he is, but I hope that if he is cold, someone will give him shelter. If he is hungry, someone will feed him. If he is lost, someone will show him kindness." Michael was silent. Then he whispered, "I think I understand." From that night, Michael became like a son to her. He called her Aunt Elara. He helped in the garden. He laughed more. The sadness in his eyes began to fade, but Elara knew he had his own road to walk. One evening, she said, "You are strong now. It is time to face your past." Michael nodded. "I want to go home, but I am still afraid." "Fear walks with us," Elara said, "but you do not have to let it lead." The next day, Michael wrote a letter to his father. The hardest word was sorry. Elara said, "Then start with that." He wrote the letter and mailed it. Week later, a reply came. Michael opened it with shaking hands and read it. Tears fell down his face. He handed it to Elara. "My son, I have waited so long. I am sorry too. Please come home." Elara smiled. "You see, love was waiting all along." Michael left the next morning. Elara gave him bread, cheese, and her apple preserves. He hugged her tightly. "I will never forget you. And Elara, I will write, I will call. Just live well." Elara said, "Be kind. That is enough." She watched him walk down the road and disappear over the hill. The silence returned. She sat on the bench, shadow on her lap. The road was empty again. But this time, a small hope flickered inside her. If a stranger's son could find his way home, maybe her own son could too. Far away in the big city, Leo sat in a dark, cramped room. He was 35 now, but looked older. His face was lined, his hair touched with gray. The city had crushed his dreams. He had lost jobs, lost his room, and spent cold nights on the streets. Shame had kept him silent for 16 years. What could he say to his mother? That he had failed. One rainy night, an old man sat beside him on a street corner. You look like a man who has lost his way, the old man said. I was lost once too, but home is not a place you must earn. It is a place that is always waiting. You just need the courage to knock. Those words broke something inside Leo. He thought of his mother. Her gentle hands. Her warm eyes, the way she never demanded anything. Just waited. I have to go home, he whispered. He had no money for a bus, so he walked. He walked through city streets, highways, towns, and fields. He slept in barns and under trees. Kind strangers gave him food. Every step, he thought of his mother. He practiced the words he had been too afraid to say. I am sorry, Mama. I was lost. I never stopped loving you. One afternoon, he reached the top of a familiar hill. Below him, the small white house came into view. The blue shutters, the red roof, the oak tree, and there, sitting on the wooden bench, was a small figure with silver hair. Elara looked up. She saw a man walking down the road. Her heart began to pound. The basket of beans fell from her hands. She stood up slowly, her legs trembling. The man came closer. She saw his face. Tired, thin, older. But those eyes, she knew those eyes. Leo? She whispered. Then louder. Leo, Mama! He cried, dropping his bag and running. They met in the middle of the road, under the oak tree. They fell into each other's arms. Leo sobbed into her shoulder. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Hush, my boy, Elara said, tears flowing freely. You are home. That is all that matters. She led him inside and sat him at the kitchen table. She made tea, brought bread, cheese, and apple preserves. Leo ate like a starving man. Elara watched him with her tea-colored eyes, not asking questions. After he ate, Leo noticed the second cup of tea on the table. He looked at his mother. You made 2 cups, he said. You were waiting all this time. I always waited, Elara said softly. Leo broke down again. The unspoken words poured out. He told her everything. The failures, the shame, the long walk home. Elara held his hand. You are not your success, Leo. You are my son. That is enough. That has always been enough. Days passed. Leo stayed. He helped in the garden. He fixed the roof. He talked with his mother for hours. They shared memories of Samuel. They cried together. They laughed together. The silence that had once been a wall became a bridge. One evening, they sat on the bench under the oak tree. The sunset colored the sky pink and gold. I was afraid you would not be here, Leo said. That time would have taken you. Time is a thief, Elara said. But it could not steal me before you came back. I told you. I was waiting. Now what do I do? Leo asked. Now you live, she said. The road of unspoken words is behind us. Now we walk a new road. Leo put his arm around his mother. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Shadow jumped onto the bench and curled up beside them. The road in front of them was no longer empty. It was a path full of possibilities. But tonight, they did not need to walk it. They just sat together, heart to heart, in the quiet peace of home. A few months later, a letter came from Michael. He was doing well, working with his father, and planned to visit. Leo read the letter and smiled. So this is the young man who kept you company. Yes, Elara said. Kindness circles back. That autumn, Michael and his father arrived. The house was full of laughter and good food. Michael and Leo became friends. They worked together to build a new bench for the garden. Michael carved a message on it. For the one who taught us that home is always open. Elara touched the words and smiled. Now I have 2 benches. One for memories, one for new beginnings. On the last evening of the visit, they all gathered under the oak tree. Elara poured tea for everyone. The second cup was no longer a habit of waiting. It was a cup for a guest, a friend, a son. Leo looked at his mother, at Michael, and his father, at the house with its blue shutters, at the road that had carried so much pain and so much joy. I used to think the road was my enemy, Leo said, but now I see it was always waiting for me to choose to walk back. Every road can be a road home, Elara said, if your heart turns in the right direction. They sat together in comfortable silence. The unspoken words had finally been spoken, and the new words, the words of love and forgiveness, would be spoken every day now, just like the sun rising. They sat together in comfortable silence. The unspoken words had finally been spoken, and the new words, the words of love and forgiveness, would be spoken every day now, just like the sun rising. The little house at the end of the road was no longer a place of waiting. It was a place of living, and Elara knew now what she had always believed deep inside. A